All right, I just completed 60 days of YouTube. Wait, let me check this. All right, so I did a 60-day YouTube challenge recently. I'm probably on day 70 now. So I wanted to do a recap of what I've learned and my progress, and hopefully this can help somebody who also wants to start a channel. I think the first 30 days, the most important thing for me, looking back on this, is the first 30 days. The first 30 days I think of as a mental game, and that I was so scared to post that first video. And so I spent 40, 50, 60 hours editing something that didn't even show my face because I just wanted it to be perfect. And it got 150 views, which is quite good. But I realized I don't really want to spend 50 hours editing something. I'm just playing with my dog here. And yeah, I don't really want to spend 50 hours editing. And then the second time, I figured, okay, let me try and reduce the editing by a lot more. I did 5 hours of editing, did more of the stick figure, didn't show my face still. And yeah, didn't show my face. Yoki. This is Yoki. Come here. Didn't show my face for the stick figures. And I realized that I, at least for this one, wanted to put out some more concrete value, some steps, some advice. And I was able to do that, but it felt a little bit hollow. And I also realized that one of the beautiful parts about being able to show your face is that you get a sense of who the person is, you get a sense of trust, and you get all of that without having to spend 50 hours editing. So what was interesting is before I started, I just set a goal of, hey, let's check in after 10 videos and see how I feel comfort level wise with posting a video with my face. And what surprised me was after just 2 videos, I thought, okay, I think it's time to post a video of my face. And this might sound silly because I know a lot of people this isn't a big deal maybe to post their face, but I'm not really on any social media. I have a lot of anxiety around being seen publicly. Even though I'm super extroverted, I love people, I like making presentations, I like public speaking, but the idea of millions of people seeing me and seeing me do something not well made me literally nauseous, to the point that when I showed my face for the first video, literally all I could get out of the only thing I could say was, I'm essentially like, hi, I'm Monica, and I'm scared to do this, but here you go. And that's all I could do. That's all my nervous system was willing to do, and I think that's okay, because now I can sit here and feel a lot more comfortable to just share my experience without having to feel perfect doing everything. And I think this is probably going to be helpful to other recovering perfectionists out there. And what this 60-day challenge allowed me to do is really have essentially my own exposure therapy to being seen publicly. And a few things I would like to share for other people who really want to start a channel, really want to educate, help other people, but are nervous to start. Unintentionally, platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, social media platforms unintentionally ease you into this, unless you're among the less than 0.01%, maybe less than 1% chance that your video goes viral before you're ready. Very likely your first few videos are not going to be shown to every single person on the platform, surprisingly. I don't know why I didn't think about this, but you'll see this on YouTube. Your video is shown to makes 2,000 impressions, so maybe 2,000 people for your first video see that thumbnail, and then click-through rate on average, I think a good click-through rate is like 3 to 6%, which means they see the thumbnail, click on it, and watch it, and even then, less than 5% will watch more than 30 seconds. So all of these things layered in, hopefully that'll give you some comfort that you're, one, very unlikely that you're going to be exposed to millions and millions of people on your first go. And I understand that it'll take time to trust that, so I highly recommend doing some faceless videos first. One other thing I didn't realize was that you can have multiple channels. You can add a ton of different channels, not connected to your name, and just practice it. Just see what editing feels like. I can do a whole separate video on my editing journey. I highly recommend Canva, especially when you're starting out, because I was so overwhelmed, especially the perfectionist in me wanted to figure out audio and color grading and video and all of these things. And Canva is great because all of the core things that you need to make something decently good is in there. So my first video, that was all Canva. My second video also all of my videos have been Canva. So if you think this is good enough quality for the perfectionist in you, then I would consider it. And then you can move on to something more in-depth, like DaVinci Resolve, or a lot of people like Adobe. But I think when you're getting started, honestly, Canva is pretty solid to get something good enough out there. And everything is in one place, so you don't have to go and download the separate MP3 files and separate graphics and separate ways to figure out how to get the motion graphics to come on there. It's just all right there. You just click, you can assign an animation, you can assign, you can search for photos, you can pop in the motion graphics, you can set the text, you can set different transitions between slides. There are audio files there, both for background music and for the sounds like whoosh and clicks and all of those things. And this was super overwhelming to me at the start, so happy to explain this. And yeah, I just film on cinematic mode on the Apple iPhone. I went through all of this research on, should I do Blackmagic? Should I do shoot in log and then color grade it or pay someone to color grade it? All of these things are just friction. So I think do what is the easiest thing to get you started. I just have an iPhone Pro. Yeah, my whole materials are iPhone 16 Pro. I have a Moment lens. I have a tripod that's like $20. And I shoot in cinematic mode. And I have this DJI mic. And that is the complete set. And I think this can probably get me through the next few years while I'm building this up. Yeah, so that was something that I learned. So I would say the first 30 days were huge in terms of just getting the mental bandwidth and getting through the anxiety of posting. Because one thing I cannot stand is people who are already successful, particularly tend to be more in the high testosterone range, I've noticed, of the just do it, just post, I don't get it, what's so hard about it? Oh my gosh, if you have ever had to deal with, if you have spent your whole life striving for external validation and achievement and perfectionism, being seen as a beginner and learning in public is terrifying. And I don't think most people who are already successful, either they don't remember it or they just didn't have these issues or these obstacles. I was watching another YouTuber that I quite like, and he had an academy, and he was also saying, the one thing you need to do, you have to post to YouTube, otherwise this course is not going to be for you, it's not going to be worth it. And he was saying, I can't believe why people don't post. You spend all this money and you still don't post. And to me, it's so obvious. It is terrifying. There are all these other blocks. It's not just the skill, the confidence, like figuring out what to do, what you need, all of the knowledge, figuring out the tools that you need, feeling comfortable enough. If I were to do this all over again, I would love to have someone walk through this process with me who understood my sensitive, anxious nervous system, which is something that I really want to provide for people now. So if you do have a YouTube channel in mind that you want to do, or you have just a topic that really interests you, I want to help create an environment that makes this safe and almost inevitable to end up posting. So I would have just created a safe ecosystem of 4 to 6 weeks where you post internally. Maybe you just post, send it to me. Maybe you post after you start getting comfortable to a small cohort of 5 to 8 people that are also in the program. And there'll be understanding of, at this stage, we just need positive affirmation. This isn't a time where you want the video to be better. You're just focusing on feeling good, feeling safe, and you'll get to that point where you start leaning into what you really enjoy, what resonates with you, and it'll come much more naturally. Pride comes when you are doing something that you enjoy, that resonates with your strengths and your gifts, and provides something that you want to give to other people. And it does take time. So that was one of my big learnings. The second month, I think, was characterized by, if the first month was, I would say 80% getting over my fear of posting. So 80% getting over my perfectionism or managing my perfectionism, and let's say 20 to 30% of the skill building. And then month 2, I pretty much at this point had the basic skills of how to edit down. So maybe I would describe the first 4 to 6 weeks I would characterize as 50% skill building, 40% getting over, still working through some nervousness I had about posting, the mental game. And then what started to build more was the 10% that I wanted to start getting better in creating systems. So overall, I would say my second month was about creating systems and keeping up, because I noticed that if I didn't post for a week, like right before I posted, I felt nauseous. Right after I posted, I felt great. And I was just thinking, this is pretty easy. I can definitely post again. But if I spent a week not posting, then I would start to feel that anxiousness, that nervousness again. And this totally tracks the psychology of fear elimination. And if you are introducing a new stimulus that you don't want to fear anymore, if you want to start eliminating or decreasing your relationship to that fear stimulus, then you need to keep up a particular frequency or cadence to help extinguish it. So that was something that was interesting to me, was feeling that in real time of, if I don't post, I start to get nervous about being seen. And then this is month 3, and now I feel like I have maybe 10% anxiousness still there, but mostly, if you'll notice, over time, my videos are actually getting worse, which I'm quite proud of, because it means that I'm feeling a lot more comfortable being seen as imperfect. Whereas before, I would spend 40, 50, 60 hours just trying to do the best video I could do so that I didn't embarrass myself. But now I'm much more in a state of experimentation, of just, I'm not too worried about what I want to say or in what channel it should go. Before, I was obsessing about, if I do a meditation topic, I need to create a separate channel so that it's all meditation, so that the algorithm knows. Even though I knew that people would give advice of, hey, your lane or lanes will become more apparent as you just start creating, it was still this sense of anxiety and nervousness and wanting it to be good. And now that has lessened, it's a lot more clear to me to see what is best for me and best for the type of tools that I want to create for other people. But it took time. So I think this has directly related to what I'm building now, which is a coaching practicum, or a 6-week course for high-achieving multi-passionates who are feeling stuck. Maybe they're in life transition, they want to do something new, but they don't exactly know how or what, or how to get started. And because I have gone through this specifically, I think I'm pretty well suited to taking people through my process and what has worked for me, and it's allowed me to go from being an attorney I was an attorney educated at one of the best law schools in the world, went to a big law firm for 5-6 years, did in-house for another few years, and it took a lot. I felt sick to my stomach to change into this career path that I knew aligned more with me, but didn't have the same level of prestige that I had just gotten high off of, or had really sustained me for the last 5 to 7 years. And I knew that this path wouldn't necessarily have that. Not everyone gets why you want to show educational videos on various platforms. Not everyone gets why I'm going to school for psychotherapy now, and while I'm also doing coaching certificates. To me, this is all, now that I'm in it, it feels so right. These are always the things that I really enjoyed. When I was a kid, I remember reading Life of Pi and thinking, wow, it's so cool how all of the religions can be understood as having a golden thread or a common thread. And I remember being really excited whenever I had an English class and it was teaching about the meaning of life or symbols that are represented through readings and the discussions that we would have from that. And thinking back about what I enjoyed as a kid and how I am now, it feels almost obvious that this is my path. But I did not think that 3 months ago. I started getting some confidence within 30 days, and within 60 days, I spend much less time worrying about, is this right? What will people think? Because I kind of don't care at this point, because I really like this material. I really care about providing meaning. I care about helping people live their dreams, fulfill their lives. I care about psychology and neuroscience. I'm also doing research regarding the experience of awe and wonder and how that impacts your relationship to control, both your sense of agency and your ability to surrender control. And I've always been interested in this kind of stuff. So it's really amazing that I have these opportunities to do this now. And looking back, I do think everything happens for a reason. I think that being a lawyer is not the best use of my analytical horsepower. I am someone who is allergic to inauthenticity or something that doesn't immediately have pro-social value. And to me, being a corporate lawyer did not immediately fulfill that need of, I don't see who I'm helping, I don't see how they're benefiting from this. And I think my law degree is going to help me, especially in this area. I have an idea of the risks that come up in healthcare or in the line between coaching and therapy, which I can also talk about. But yeah, my goal is essentially to have a lab of human reinvention where I can combine psychology-informed practices, neuroscience research, and motivational interviewing or coaching tactics to really help build people up depending on where they're starting in terms of their comfort levels, their safety, their community, and start slowly and gradually building toward what their strengths are, what they want out of life, and instilling them with the understanding that they can get there. And if this sounds like you, feel free to drop a comment, and I can also provide some extra materials for free. I have a journal, a few journaling prompts that I quite like. And yeah, this third month I think has to do more with growth. So I have been starting to put everything together, starting to feel more comfortable on camera. And I don't expect that this video is going to have a whole lot of views because I don't know how much I feel like editing it. But that's okay. I think that I'm really proud of how far that I've come, and that I would have never been able to just turn the camera on and feel safe enough to just talk about my experience 60 days ago. I have come so far, and I have a lot of pride around that, and I really want to help people get to that point as well.